What's good, everybody? It's the Cloud with Cab show. I'm going to talk about the most hated athletes, and obviously I got to start with the GOAT in Tom Brady. It makes sense why Tom Brady's hated a lot. He's also loved by a lot of people, but I would say majority of the people hate on Tom Brady. Why? Because he has the most Super Bowl rings as a quarterback with 7. Okay? The most of any team. He has more than any team ever with 7 Super Bowl rings. He obviously has a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, a beautiful house. He seems to be living the American dream, and that's why so many people hate on Tom Brady. They hate that. They get jealous of that, and it makes sense why so many people hate on some of these athletes, because they have all the stuff that some people always dreamed about, but never that don't have it right now. That never had it. So to me, it makes sense. Tom Brady's hated, and it makes sense. I feel like he should be more appreciative now. You know, he's in his, mid-40s now, and he's still balling. He's still putting up crazy numbers. Still playing at a high level. You know, Tom Brady, we can say this right now. He is the greatest quarterback we've ever seen. No doubt. 100%. 7 Super Bowls, we can't make this up. And a lot of people were like, well, it's Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots and what they did. Really? He went to Tampa the next year and won a Super Bowl in Tampa. Could really repeat this year, has 22 starters coming back on the same team, dude. Tom Brady, he is the GOAT. He is the GOAT, and it makes sense why so many people hate him. Like I said, a beautiful wife, 7 rings, but the hate, it's whatever. Tom Brady doesn't care. You think he cares what other people say about him? Disrespect-wise? No, absolutely not, unless it's somebody that he knows close or a loved one, then he would take action on it. But, for the naysayers out there, no, he does not care. Dude, he's living the life, dude. Shout out to Tom Brady. And then obviously I got to go my boy LeBron James. And yes, I have knacks on LeBron James. One of them is, yes, I agree with you guys. 100%. LeBron James does flop a lot. And most of the NBA does. The NBA's gotten soft over the past 10 to 20 years. And to me, it's not the same as it used to be. But, for LeBron, that's my only flaw in him is his flopping. And a lot of the times, in his early career, it was like he can't hit the big shot. But time and time again, we've seen LeBron come up big in big-time clutch spots. So to me, it's amazing. LeBron has 4 championships. I don't understand. He's under 500 in the finals. I get all that. But right now, this year, they will win the NBA championship, and he will have 5 rings. He will tie Tim Duncan. He will tie the great Kobe Bryant. So it's going to be great. To me, and it makes sense why so many people hate on LeBron as well. And to me, we have to understand LeBron. LeBron's giving back to the community, helping the youth. So it would make sense where people are like, hey, I don't like LeBron just because of this and that. Yes, everybody has something they don't like. Some people in life are just not going to like you just because. Just because the way you look, the way you talk, it just is what it is. But for me, LeBron, he's one of those athletes that we're never going to see again. Coming in the NBA in 2003 and still dominating present day in 2021. Dude, it's unreal. Yes, I could say LeBron James is probably the most gifted athlete we've ever seen. When I say gifted, meaning, born 6'8", 6'9", born, built like a brick, built like an NFL player, can jump over 40 inches, can run like a 4.4. To me, that's like unfair, right? That's God-given gifts right there. And I feel like he's one of the most God-given athletes we've ever seen ever, dude, is LeBron James. He's the most gifted athlete. And we could probably say, LeBron James, 100%, he works hard. We could say that. We could say he works the hardest, but does he work the hardest? What about the players that are coming off the bench in the NBA? How much time are they putting in? To me, I feel like LeBron has a lot of God-given skill, dude. He was just born with these abilities to do that. The ability to be tall, the ability to jump high, the ability to do that. And to me, LeBron's really developed his game. And one of his weaknesses was, he can't shoot the 3 or he can't shoot the jumper. But we learned over time he's really improved in that area. And coming into this season right now into the playoffs, I'm still sticking with the Los Angeles Lakers to repeat. 100%, we look at history. In the past decade, in 2009, 2010, the Los Angeles Lakers repeated with Kobe Bryant. Did we go to early 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003? They three-peat with Shaq and Kobe. So to me, the history will repeat itself. The Lakers will overcome because LeBron James is the best NBA player in the world right now. 100%, dude. He is the best. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. LeBron James is the best. He will repeat, and I can't wait to see what happens in the offseason. Congrats to LeBron James on his 5th ring. What are they going to say next? What are they going to say? It is what it is. And then one of the other hated athletes we got to talk about is Floyd Money Mayweather. Floyd is 50-0, and a lot of people don't like him because he's cocky. He can be arrogant. He can flaunt his money. He does all these things, right? But to me, we have to understand Floyd. He's never lost in boxing, and a lot of the critiquers or people who really downplay Floyd will say, well, you know what? Floyd picked his own fights, Cap. Floyd did this. Floyd did that. Floyd delayed Pacquiao. That's my only problem with Floyd in his career was I wish Floyd would have fought Pacquiao back in 2010. Even 2009 time, I feel like Floyd, in a way, his business, whatever the case was, I might be wrong on that. Maybe Floyd didn't delay the Pacquiao. Maybe it was Pacquiao's end. I don't know. I just wish that fight was 5 years earlier when Pacquiao was really in his prime. But it's interesting to see Mayweather come out and say, Pacquiao is one of my hardest fighters. One of my hardest opponents because, Pacquiao had that movement where you didn't know where the hits were coming from. Pacquiao was quick, was fast. To me, in Pacquiao's prime, I feel like the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight would have been way much better than it was in 2015. So, and then, Mayweather's fighting in about a week, fighting Logan Paul, a YouTube guy where he's 0-1 in professional boxing, and we got a guy who's 50-0. To me, it doesn't make sense to me. And, the only thing that I feel like Mayweather's doing this for is for the money. And Floyd's saying he's going to make over $100 million, the easiest $100 million he's ever made in this fight. To me, it's crazy, dude. I don't know. And Floyd's 50-0. It's like, for Floyd, it's like, dude, do you really need the $100 extra million for this? I don't know. Maybe Floyd's thinking, next year as well, maybe even fighting, you never know, maybe a McGregor rematch. Or maybe even his brother Jake Paul. That would be great too, right? I just think, a lot of people downplay Floyd, and we could say Floyd is the best defensive fighter we've ever seen. And Floyd Mayweather will tell you he's the best boxer to ever live. Which, if I was 50-0 and never lost in boxing, I might say that too. I might say I'm the greatest ever to live. I've never lost, So how can I not say I'm the best ever if I've never lost, never took an L? The only time Floyd Mayweather took an L was in the Olympics in 96. I believe it was 96, maybe 96 or 94, and they cheated Mayweather. He won that fight clearly, dominated the fighter. And it's crazy. We go years later, that fighter who we lost to, we're hearing that he's like homeless, living on the street. And now look at Floyd Mayweather. He's living the American dream. So, to me, we see what Floyd Mayweather's about. I believe Floyd Mayweather will dust up Logan Paul. Yes, Logan Paul has a fighter's chance. I will give him that. He could, maybe hit Floyd a couple times. We've seen Floyd deal with adversity, get hit with big shots. Okay, we've seen all that. For real. We have. So, to me, it's like, for Floyd, it's like, for him and his legacy right now, it's like, I feel like a lot of the boxing experts are saying, why is Floyd doing this? This is dumb. This is bad for boxing. I don't think it's bad for boxing. I think it's bringing back numbers. Who knows? We might see a Canelo-Mayweather rematch for a second time since Canelo's pound-for-pound #1 in boxing. So to me, I just can't wait for this. Floyd, he is one of the best boxers we've ever seen, dude. He's probably the best boxer in our generation. We can say that. We can say Floyd Mayweather's #1 and Manny Pacquiao's #2 for, what type of athletes they bring, dude. How they transcend their sport, dude. They're trendsetters, dude. I love them. Shout out to Mayweather, dude. I know people love or hate him. And a lot of people tend to hate Mayweather because of his lifestyle, the way he lives, the way he acts sometimes, the way he flaunts his money and talks about money. But to me, it's part of American society, right? Without money, we cannot live. So shout out to Mayweather. Then we have another hated athlete, and that's Tiger Woods. But I feel like, a lot of people like Tiger Woods now, turning his life around, obviously cheating on his wife, when that happened. But we have to understand Tiger Woods is the greatest. He is. He is the GOAT in his sport 100%. We got Tom Brady, we got Floyd Mayweather, Tiger Woods, LeBron. All these, man. But Tiger, he's got 15 majors. He's 3 behind Jack Nicklaus. I can't wait. Tiger won the Masters in 2019. very recently, and we saw, Tiger Woods get in a car accident, and I hope he's recovering, and I do believe we will see Tiger Woods again. We will see Tiger Woods win another major again. I hope he wins, 4 to become the number 1 all-time leader in majors, and I think that can happen with Tiger. No doubt, dude. I think Tiger will overcome this and ultimately go on top of the pinnacle when it's all said and done. And to me, if Tiger doesn't even come back, let's say Tiger doesn't come back, I'm putting Tiger at number 1. Just the way, how he did it, in the era he did it, in the 90s and early 2000s, and he's still doing it. Won Masters in 2019, dude. We can't even make this up. But to me, I feel like nowadays, the more people tend to like Tiger. I feel like a lot of people hated Tiger when the cheating allegations came out and all that. But to me, shout out to Tiger Woods. I feel like a lot of more people like him now. And then also Terrell Owens, a.k.a. T.O. A lot of people hated T.O. because, he was funny. He really was. He would do silly celebrations in the end zone. To me, one of the most iconic moments for T.O. is when he started crying for Tony Romo, where he was like, that's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. Started crying on national television. And I was like, really, T.O.? Really? I thought T.O. was a goon. He's over here crying about, Tony Romo? Tony Romo, who's never been to the Super Bowl before, who never even took Dallas in his whole career to the Super Bowl. Come on, T.O. You can do better than that, but I can see why. A lot of people say T.O.'s a prima donna, this and that, but to me, T.O. was just funny to me. He really was. T.O. was hilarious to me. Then we got guys like Christian Lightner. He played for Duke in the 90s. To me, he was a dirty player, and people hated Christian Lightner because he stepped on players. He would kick players, elbow players, and I remember, I believe it was in the NCAA tournament where he stepped on a player, and they did it. I believe they just called a foul. To whereas nowadays, if you had a player step on a player on the ground, they'd be kicked out of the game, number 1. Okay. Number 2, they'd get fined by the NBA or the NCAA, no doubt about it. But Christian Lightner playing at Duke, being, an IQ guy, somewhat of an IQ guy. But to me, it was just like, Christian Lightner, everybody hated him, dude. He was a dirty player, and he really thought he was better than he was. To me, I just never understood it. Then we got guys like Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong, one of the, obviously, the athlete that really transcend his sport. Right? But to me, it was like, he cheated, though. And to me, what really got me with Lance Armstrong was, he had an interview where he was really minimizing the people there, saying they're nothing, really just minimizing humans in general. To me, and once I saw that, I was like, man, I'm really not a Lance Armstrong fan. When you have to cheat to win, I'm just not a fan of you. And I understand people will say, well, if you're cheating, you're trying. I get all that. But to me, it was just like, for Lance Armstrong cheating, I believe he was injected steroids that had more white cells, which your stamina would last longer, obviously in biking and cycling. But to me, it was just like, I was never a huge fan of Lance. I was before the doping and all this stuff came out, as he's winning. But to me, it was like, Lance, he's a cheater. Lance Armstrong is a cheater, and I hope, Nike, everything stripped it from him, because he's a cheater. And I don't support cheaters, therefore I don't like Lance Armstrong. Then we have other athletes like Johnny Manziel, one of the most hated athletes as well. I mean, we have to understand, Johnny Manziel in college at Texas A&M, everybody loved him, or they hated him, right? Because, he was a party kid, right? He won Heisman, just came in, dude, right in A&M. And that year, won Heisman, beat Alabama, got all this hype, right? And really, he would just party, dude. He literally partied and performed at a high level in college and really got him first-round picked to the Cleveland Browns. And we saw what happened in the NFL. Ultimately, Johnny Manziel partied his way out of the NFL. And a lot of people really celebrated about it. And I was a Johnny Manziel fan. Obviously, this was a time where I was back in college and really was a party lifestyle, right? And Johnny Manziel was that party guy where he really went 0 to 100, Johnny Manziel. Nobody knew who Johnny Manziel was till after the Alabama game. When they beat Alabama at Alabama, and to me, it was just like Johnny Manziel really got famous overnight. Started hanging out with rappers like Rick Ross and Drake. So it's just like, everybody knew Johnny Manziel. He even got love from LeBron James. LeBron James was rocking Johnny Manziel, Money Manziel. So to me, Manziel, he went from 0 to 100 Then when he went to Cleveland, he went back to 100-0. It was really a sad story, but to me, 100% they will have a 30 for 30 on Johnny Manziel. No doubt about it. Johnny Football, to me, I wish he would get a second opportunity in the NFL, but obviously the NFL's, he's done. 100%, but his legacy will always live on, definitely in college football. And to me, it was just like, obviously, getting drafted by the Cleveland Browns, I just thought, if Johnny Manziel would have got drafted by, let's say any other team besides Cleveland, dude, any other team, I really do think he could have panned out a little better. In a better system, maybe out west, who knows? But I think ultimately it was really Johnny Manziel himself who really got him out of the league. Got in some trouble, just on the side, always partying. To me, it's like these are professional athletes, and at some point, I don't care if you have the best gifts in the world, right? We could say LeBron James, but imagine if LeBron James partied all the time. LeBron wouldn't be in the NBA right now, since 2003. So to me, it was just like, at some point, you gotta put business at first before partying. Party when you win a championship. Party when you win a huge game. But to me, when that party lifestyle takes over you, it consumes you, it makes sense. So to me, Johnny Manziel, his name will always live up, but so many people still hate him to this day. Then we got, obviously, O.J. Simpson, dude. Probably the most hated athlete because why? He got away with murder. Let's just admit it, okay? The glove didn't fit. I get all that, but, all the signs were pointing to O.J. murdering his wife, in cold blood. But the jury didn't see it that way, in his hats off to his defense attorney, really baiting the jury, saying, hey, look, they're being racist against OJ, kind of like baiting him into that. These cops are saying racist things. To me, just OJ, man, it's just that Hollywood lifestyle. And to me, OJ got off not guilty. But ultimately, OJ got back into jail for stealing, someone stole his vehicle, then he ended up stealing it. It's just all types of stuff. But to me, I feel like OJ, after that trial, really was the worst thing for his life, right? Getting not guilty. Because look at him now. I mean, dude, he looks rough, man. He looks like he's 99 years old, getting ready to die, dude. And everybody knows OJ killed her. So to me, it was just like, why? You know what I'm saying? And then another athlete we got to say is Jay Cutler. Former Chicago Bear quarterback. To me, I wasn't a huge fan of Jay Cutler. I always thought he sucked, really. In big games, he would come up short. To me, it makes sense why a lot of people hated him. Jay Cutler was trash. He was. Like Mitch Trubisky, he's trash, dude. Just complete garbage. To me, it makes sense why so many people hate Jay Cutler because he can never win the big game in Chicago. Then we got Reggie Miller. A lot of people hated on Reggie. I love Reggie, obviously, because I'm from Indiana. Played his whole career with the Pacers. It was an amazing time. It was awesome. But to me, a lot of people hated Reggie Miller because he was cocky. He was ignorant. But he would play competitively, against Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wanted to fight him. He hit big shots in the finals against Michael Jordan to win a game, ultimately. They came up short. But to me, a lot of people hated Reggie because of his cockiness. The way he would play, the way he would shoot. And sometimes when he would shoot, he would, like, kick the defender and somehow get a foul called on them. So it was crazy, dude. But so many people hated Reggie, but I obviously love Reggie, man. Shout out to Reggie Miller. Then we got guys, UFC fighter Colby Covington. This guy, dude, a lot of people hate him strictly because, for a little bit, I disliked him. I kind of have mixed feelings about Colby Covington. To me, he's got to prove to me that he can't beat Usman. But to me, I think a lot of people hate him because, what he says on social media, what he says in interviews, he really calls out everybody. And to me, this is a love-hate thing. For me, Colby, he's got to back it up against Usman. He called LeBron James a spineless coward. To me, it's like, dang, dude, you're going to call LeBron James a spineless coward, dude? The same guy who's opened up schools for the youth, for, to have a better future, and he's a spineless coward. That doesn't make sense, Colby. That never really rang well with me. I didn't like when he said that, but for me, Colby, obviously, he will, be number one eventually, and I do think him and Usman is going to be a great matchup. I want to see a rematch. I do. I will give Colby credit. I believe it was in the second or third round of that fight where he did throw a leg kick on Usman, and Usman kind of like, acted like he got hit in the nuts, right? So Usman got like, a minute or two of a break. But when you look at the replay, it was actually, kind of, like lower stomach area. He did not come close to his balls, dude. And so to me, it was like one of those fake hits by the groin and just kind of like played it off. So I felt for Colby there. A lot of stuff didn't go his way during that fight, but, that was a brawl. He's claiming an early stoppage, but, ultimately, Usman did break his jaw. He did. It was crazy, but I want to see a rematch with Colby and Usman. I cannot wait for that. Then ultimately, we got guys like the legend, Tim Tebow. So many people hate on Tim Tebow, and it makes sense, because we have an athlete in Tim Tebow, obviously one of the best college football athletes we've ever seen. We could say that. Won 2 national championships with Florida. It was amazing. Then he got drafted in Denver, won a big playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think a lot of people hated on Tim Tebow because he would take a knee, he would pray, he would really worship Jesus Christ, and a lot of people were just like really downplaying it, like, wow, this guy, whatever, he's for this and that, and so many people talking crap, and it's like, really, dude? Tim Tebow's one of those athletes we're never going to see again, dude. He has a heart of a champion, dude. Heart of a lion. He never gave up, dude. That's why I love Tim Tebow. And him coming back, signing a 1-year, not guaranteed deal yet with the Jacksonville Jaguars to play tight end. And a lot of people today are like, really hate on it. They're hating on Tim Tebow. And I'm trying to think, why? Why are so many people hating on that? And I get it. A lot of people say, well, he's been out of the league for, 8 years, whatever the case is. And we have guys in here like, practicing every day, their craft, and not getting a shot. But Tim Tebow gets a shot. Why is that? But to me, Urban Meyer's the head coach. It makes sense. They both played with each other in Florida. So to me, it makes sense. It makes sense, and a lot of people, and I agree. I feel like Tim Tebow, if he would have made this transition 7 years ago from quarterback to tight end, 100%, I think it would have really helped. But to me right now, with Tim Tebow, what he's doing, I support it. So many people are really hating on him, saying so many bad things about Tim Tebow. Oh, but he does this and that. All he cares about is fame. Come on. Tim Tebow is here, and he's here for real. He's a leader, and I do think he could be a great tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I hope to God that they sign him, dude. I really do. I hope Jacksonville comes out and says, you know what? We're going to sign Tim Tebow for a year with Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence, those guys. I think it'll be great. But it makes sense, man. It makes sense why so many people hate on him. But I think ultimately, out of all the athletes, I think the most hated athlete right now, or maybe even all time, is definitely Floyd Money Mayweather. It is, dude. So many people hate him. And I think ultimately why so many people hate Floyd Mayweather, it boils down to one word: jealousy. They are jealous of his lifestyle. They're jealous the way he acts. They're jealous of his cars, the houses he has, how rich he is. He's a billionaire. Probably the richest athlete, today. Obviously, he wasn't in the force, but to me, overall, how much money Floyd Mayweather has made, not just in boxing, outside of the ring and inside of the ring. Floyd Mayweather, dude, he does that. And yes, I get it, and I think a lot of people hate him because all he talks about is money and does this and that. But to me, ultimately, I think he's the most hated athlete. And for Floyd's sake, it's like, he kind of takes it in. I think Floyd kind of likes that role where a lot of people hate him, and it really gives him more fuel. I think it gives him more motivation in the gym to really go hard and push harder. So to me, that's why, ultimately, but, shout out to Floyd, man. And I think, this weekend, or next weekend, fighting Logan Paul, I think, Logan definitely has a shot, but come on, man. We're talking Floyd Money Mayweather here. We're talking 50-0 here. We're talking a guy who's never hit the ground before in the boxing ring. So to me, it's crazy. My money's on Floyd. So to me, it makes sense. So many people hate on Floyd, and also LeBron. I think LeBron's one of the most hated athletes as well. So Floyd and LeBron are my top 2 hated athletes of all time, baby. It's the Cloud with Cam show. Let's go!